Hey everyone, it's another 90-day recap chat. This is Irene, CBiz Media, Faith, Love, and Trends. Let's get right into this episode of 90 Day Fiance the other way. 90 Day Fiance is a franchise, a reality show, but has multiple branches and multiple spin-offs. But it follows real-life couples. One person's from the U.S., the other from another country. We see their ups and downs, their relationship issues, language barriers, cultural boundaries, all those things going on, crisscross and mismatch and this and that, all of that. And they're trying to get their 90-day visa in order to stay in the country. And a lot of times they have to be man and wife in order to do that, so they can stay together and be in this relationship. So that's why they call it 90 Day Fiance. Alright, gonna get straight to Greta and Matt. She's arrived to England on the train. They meet up, sealed with a kiss. It looks like a nice, greeting. They hadn't seen each other in a bit, but it's actually was sealed with a kiss and a stench. She was giving a little Pepe Le Pew, according to Matt. But I thought it was rude for him to actually say that on camera, and he said it multiple times. To her, the welcome was awkward. To me, it looked okay. I mean, they seem like a couple of awkward people, and this seems normal to me, I'm not a stranger to awkwardness myself, but she said this was awkward for them. Then, they arrived to his parents' house. They're not there at the time. And she's trying to find places to put her stuff, but she shouldn't be trying to find places like that because he really made no space for her, no drawers. Did he make a couple drawers? I think he told her she could use a couple drawers that he did not even empty out yet or something like that. So he kind of left her to her own devices, and he's just like, find some space in here somewhere. Well, she's kind of in tears, and she's like, did I leave my beloved cat Hazel for this? Hazel would never put me through this. But I get it, because I'm like, the one thing I didn't like, the fact that he was saying she stunk. Like, I could see one mention on camera, but there was another mention. It's like, okay. Then the next thing is when she gets to his place, his family's place, that he has not set up his life or made any room for her in his room. It's like, if you want me to be in your life, you could have at least thought to make room for me. And for us women, it's not just physical, but it's also metaphorical. If you didn't make room for me in this actual room, have you made room for me in your life, in your mind, in your plans? We're going to take it to the next level. So I get how you're feeling at this moment, Greta. And I'm sorry. I hope Matt makes this up to you. Jenny, and Submit. Jenny and Submit. They're old favorites here. So Jenny's being even more welcoming into the house of his parents because, hey, they had to move out. They couldn't afford it. And when they first moved in, they were like, okay, what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. They're looking through all of Jenny's stuff. They're like even divvying some of it up, like casting lots is what they would say in the Bible. But so she's now at this Hindu ceremony to bless the new house. She's dressed into traditional clothing. Sorry for that stuttering. And she lets us know, hey, the cafe is actually going okay. Things are starting to progress there. So that's a good thing. Then she had to carry something on her head as a part of the ceremony. So that was different for her to try to balance this thing on her head. And I think Submit at some point said, you could just hold it in your hand at this point. They kind of say these prayers together. Some may call it chants. And she just loves the prayers and how they're all in unison and sang them together. And she's just shocked how they can remember these prayers. And I'm like, well, I think you kind of can remember prayers if you go to any regular church service. But honestly, I don't really remember prayers. I just kind of do prayers like on the top of my head for whatever. So maybe I can relate to you on some level, Jenny. Jenny and Submit, they're leading the ceremony because they're the newcomers into the home and they're getting welcomed in. So more family members arrive, and Jenny lets us know, hey, I don't really spend a lot of time around his extended family. And Submit lets us know because many of them are traditional and kind of aren't really accepting of them. The age difference is really the biggest thing for them. Then I forgot Submit's sister-in-law, or now Jenny's sister-in-law as well. She seems to be pretty helpful. So they're creating these ritual flowers with some paint or something that they do on the floor. Was it to bless the house or something like that? So, and even Submit's mom's joining in because her and Jenny are getting along okay. But they've had their issues in the past, right? So one of the aunties says, she looks like a grandma. She's kind of being unsupportive and just talking about Jenny kind of behind her back. And as she's making these ritual flowers, she's kind of making fun of her flowers, saying, don't help her, let her do it herself. I guess trying to see if she knows what to do in this culture. And even, Submit's mom is trying to help her with the flowers. And then the auntie's pulling her away, saying, no, just let her do it herself. And at this point, Jenny's like, you're being rude. We're having fun here. And now you come over here and just kind of messed everything up. Thing I do like about Jenny is she will straight up tell you her mind. And I don't think she's really rude about it. She's kind of a little bit, but hey, if somebody's rude to you, I get to say something back. It's not going to be that nice. I don't see her ever straight up cussing people out, but she tells them like it is and say, hey, why are you over here stirring up trouble is basically what she said. And then she starts talking about Jenny and, they have to defend their marriage from Auntie right now because she's having an attitude. And then Jenny just gets upset and goes to the room. She doesn't even want to deal with it anymore. And so Submit and his sister-in-law are kind of fighting for Jenny. And even his dad he's like, he's happy with her. The age doesn't matter. This is what he wants. To see his parents in such approval mode was kind of surprising if you know the past history and issues between them. I was kind of proud for his family for standing up for him so much. But they were showing the past where mom wasn't really approving. So that's why it even was more hitting home the fact that, hey, she's really trying to stand up for them. And she's trying to see the good in their relationship. Of course, these people have now moved into her home too. So she's being accepting of her family. The aunt says, basically, I'm never going to accept this. And I think she leaves. And I think a lot of people were saying in the house, goodbye. All right, Mignon and Anthony. So they play something called Le Peton, where these big metal balls, they have to get to the little ball, and the ones that's closest to the little ball is the winner. And for those of you that are thinking stuff about balls, shame on you. Anyway, she says this was a family game they would play. So they're in, I believe, France right now. And they're kind of trying to get settled in to her parents' small little place. So when it comes to how she feels about moving there, the mom just starts to bring up, well, I didn't really believe you were going to move here. And she's like, well, it's kind of complicated because you guys weren't accepting of me. The world basically wasn't accepting of me because of my size. And she has concerns even against her own family, which can be kind of traumatizing. It's like, come on. So I have to save my marriage by moving in with my family members that don't really accept me. So I'm kind of dealing with more than one thing at once anyway. And I was just trying to get out of this one thing, but I'm trying to get out of this one thing, but I'm going to get into another thing to get out the other thing. And it just seems this whole thing with them is complicated to me. So she does tell her family her concerns. And Anthony, he seems pretty supportive of her. He's trying to keep it light because Ben is around the little baby. But he's holding her hand. He seems supportive, but he says, she shouldn't really dwell on the past because it might be harder for her to get help from her parents if she's just going to keep bringing up the negatives. But she says she, had to kind of put it out there. She hopes that what she says really gets them thinking and maybe causes change and maybe even improves their relationship because she's been open and upfront about the problems, and maybe they'll make an effort. So I understand what Anthony's point of view is, but I'm glad that he at least appears to be supportive publicly. And I didn't see them getting into any tiffs or fights today. So I guess for them today was a good day. But, she just became pretty vocal about her issues living there in France, her issues with her family and their non-acceptance of them. And that was the main thing that happened with those two on this episode. Luke and Madeline. So they continue their embarrassing talk with the wedding planner, who's also Madeline's pageant coach. And she says she really respects her and she's embarrassed by this whole scenario. The fact that Luke doesn't have enough money for this thing. And so she comes up with a solution, the wedding planner. She's like, if you don't have enough money, we either got to cancel or we just got to remove some of these amenities from the wedding. So one thing I think she said was mariachi or something. That's what Madeline decided to remove. And maybe it was one or two different things. Sounded like it was entertainment related. So I'm sure that can easily be removed. She advises them to, even at this point, the way that they were arguing and stuff, she gives her 2 cents as the wedding planner and becomes counselor. And it's like, with the way you guys are arguing here, you guys should even think about, should you even get married? And honestly, she wasn't wrong. Madeline's mad. Luke went up and get comfy in the bed. And she's like, you know what? After all this, you're just going to go get comfy in the bed. Get out of the bed. He's like, okay, I'll sleep where you tell me to sleep. If you don't want me to sleep here, then I won't. It's for our first night together. If you don't want me to sleep here, I guess he's trying to guilt her, like, hey, at least we can have a good first night. Come on, babe. But she says, I don't really want you to sleep with me when you just kind of called me a thief and you called me out as something that I'm not. He does apologize. At this point, she still has her back turned. She's sitting on the bed. And honestly, I don't think she should give in. But she probably will. And let him go sleep in the bed. And honestly, I would just have him sleep on the couch after all of that. All right, with Julia. I'm sorry, not Julia. John. My writing's horrible, guys. I'm taking notes and I can't read the guy's name. John and Chloe. She wants him to quit his sexy pirate job. Well, he says, I do have plans for the future. This isn't all it's going to be. Of course, since they want to start a family, he's like, I want to start a business, give it about 1 or 2 years. But she's like, if you're going to keep this job, you don't have to have these girls all doing stunts with the girls. Like, he's actually picking up the girls doing stunts with them. And she's like, hey, they're wearing string bikinis and barely wearing anything. And you're like all over these girls, flipping them around and doing all these stunts on them. So she's like, I don't like that part. He's like, hey, no, but I'm really good at these stunts. It takes skill and all of that. But she's like, no, you can't have these girls all on your back like that. And he's like, well, he starts comparing her to his ex, and that situation didn't work out, of course. And she's like, no, you can't compare me. And he's like, yeah, you're right. He says that, it just has to be a good balance. between this situation. You can't just expect me to totally change my lifestyle. So I'm not gonna quit. And she's like, well, if you can say no to me so easily right now and I'm supposed to be bae, why can't you say no to these girls and just don't do those stunts with them? Why can't you do that? And to me, she does have points, but I see he's trying to do his job, but yeah, maybe he doesn't have to be so physical. He can still do his stunts without grabbing the girls up and all of that. If he wants to do partner stunts, maybe do one with another coworker. As a woman, I'm kind of on her side, but I also see where he's coming from as far as this is his career. He's like, hey, you can't expect me to change up my lifestyle. And she said, she did mention like, well, what if I was a stripper or something? Which to me is not exactly the same thing. But in a way it's similar. She's kind of proving his point that there are people that are strippers that say, hey, you knew I was a stripper when you got with me. You expect me to leave my job. Now, if you're going to marry me and take care of me and we're going to have the same standard of living, then maybe I would consider it. But if you don't have anything financially to take the place of what I'm doing, then how can you have these demands on me? So I do think it's unreasonable for her to ask him to quit. And he said he needed a couple years to find another resource to do what he really loves and wants to do. I understand that. But he does have to compromise and kind of lay off of the ladies. But to be honest with you, if that's the type of person that you're marrying, to me, I would always be stressed. I'd always be like, if it's not the girls that he's flipping as a sexy pirate, it's the girls that he may meet as he's at the grocery store, or if he goes out to the bar with his friends and he meets. If you're that type of person, you're going to be that type of person no matter what you're doing. So people think it's the environment. The environment does add to higher temptation. That's true, especially if you did work in a strip club. But it's the attitude of the person. If this person is flirty or flirtatious and does that type of thing all the time, they're going to find a way to cheat. If they want to cheat, they'll find a way. You can't really block or prevent it. I mean, you can be a bit jealous of what they're doing, and it could be kind of your own jealousy issues, but if they're a loyal person, they're going to be loyal. Now, if they're not ready to take that step to be more mature and just focus on you, then that's on them. It doesn't matter what environment you put them in, they're still going to be that guy or they're still going to be that girl. So you do have to keep that in mind. I don't want to be with somebody. I know if you're with like a hot person that everybody's going to be into them, but I'm like, and there may be temptation, but if they made up their mind about me and if they're a person that keeps their word and they're loyal, these are type of character things I need, because just being hot is not going to be enough for me to have a relationship with you. You got to have good character, or basically our relationship's not going to last. No relationship with you will last if your character is faulty and flawed. And again, people can change over time. You grow up, you become more mature in different ways. And some people don't change. Honestly, sadly, they don't. I don't want somebody to change for me or because of me. I want them to change because that's what they want to do with their life. They see a need to do it, whether I'm there or not. Then I know that they're going to be that person because they want to be, and not to please me temporarily. Because at some point, if it's just to please me, at some point you're going to go back to your old ways and do what you used to do. Once you got me, I mean, you may get bored. What's the point, really? So, just some things to think about. These are just regular relationship things that anyone can go through. It's just magnified by the fact that she just moved to Aruba out of her complete comfort zone, left her job, and all she has is her sexy boyfriend that does a sexy job. So she really is like, where's my security here? I don't know if I have any. So that's really the issue. Alright guys, so what did you guys think about this episode? Thoughts, comments, questions? feel free to share. Email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com or drop in the comments your thoughts. This is Irene, CBiz Media, Faith, Love, and Trends. All the best. God bless.